Okay, I think there's 2 points that I think are murky here, and I think I'm figuring out where confusion is coming from. So I'm going to do two quick videos, and I'm sorry, but I've typed this all up, but sometimes voice just gets more across. Okay, so the first is equal or better. When we're saying equal or better, that's an or, so it's one or the other. We ignore that maybe this is wrong. Just focus on the equal or better. Equal means the two things are the same. Better only occurs when they're not the same, right? So the options that we're stating, the option that I'm stating with the MSP is that an MSP always has the option of being equal. Therefore, it always can be equal, right? MSPs always have that option. And or if they're not going to be equal, they can be better, right? There's some scenarios where they can't be better. That's fine. But in those scenarios, they can always be equal. And in some situations, they can be equal. They just keep right. They can always be equal. We can prove that they can always be equal. We can say they can always be equal or anything. They can always be equal or meteorites, equal or rainbows, equal or puppies. It doesn't matter what the or is. If the equal is always true, then the or is irrelevant because that's how or works. It's any one of the things in an or because it's not a zor, it's an or are true. And or means that in both English and logical comparison, right? It just happens to overlap. Great. So we're saying that the equal, the provability of always being having the option of equal alone proves the statement. Now, in the real world, we're then going on to look at it's so common that the or better is so universal that in the real world, it's only a theoretical case that any company would ever fall back to the equals because equal is never the best. It's just the worst, right? So you never see this happen. That's why people are confused. Why would you ever have a full-time equivalent from an MSP? And the reason that they're reacting with shock is because the or better is so obvious that they're like, there's always a better way to do it using the same resources or using, the same value of resources. And so people are thinking of it's an emotional reaction or some kind of reaction to the feeling that I think some people are seeing equal or better, and they forget that equal is half of that. It's not better. If it was always better, we would say MSPs are always better than full-time employees. That's not true. They're always equal to or better. They're never worse, and that's as a model, of course. A bad MSP is a great employee, and a bad MSP. That's not what we're talking about. The model of an MSP cannot be worse than the model of an FTE. Basically, an internal FTE, because of the inflexibility of the time and all the inflexibility of the usage, makes it the worst possible employment scenario for a company. That doesn't make it bad, it just makes it the worst. And MSP brings that same option and lots of others to the table, guaranteeing, because it can do equal, that's equal or better. So it's really important, equal or better, because you can never be both at the same time. So it's always one side of the equation or the other side is the thing that makes the or true in this case. So don't get distracted by looking for the or better when we're proving the equal, and don't look for the equal when we're proving the or better, right? And you can prove the or better simply by being flexible, because you always have the option of going back to the equal. You would only choose something other than the equal because you felt it was the or better. And in the real world, we only see that being chosen because it's so universal that we feel that it is or better.